All right, this video is to help with section 9.5 day 2, infinite geometric series. So we've got an infinite geometric one here, and we just want to find the sum to add all of these up. Okay, and the reason this works is this is a converging series where it gets smaller and smaller. It basically gets closer to zero. Right, so as these get smaller and smaller, right, you can imagine what the next term is. Right, so it gets smaller and smaller, and eventually, basically, you're going to be adding zero. So because of that reason, this will actually have a sum. All right, and so one of the hard parts about this test is to know what formula to use. So if I tell you it's this formula, hopefully it's pretty straightforward, right? But where that comes from is out on our website. There's this formula sheet that's out there in a bunch of different places. Um, but we are doing geometric series, and it's an infinite series, so this is the formula that I need to use, right? So that's kind of like use this grid basically to figure out which one you need. Okay, and then from there, hopefully it's not too bad. It just says the sum is going to be the first term divided by 1 minus whatever r is. So this pattern, hopefully you can see we shift the decimal over 1, which means we are dividing by 10, right? But r is always the value that we're multiplying by. So even though I would call this a divide 10 sequence, you could also say it's multiplying by 1/10. We multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so r in this case is 1/10, or if you do it as a decimal, 1/10 looks like that. Okay, so into my little formula, I'm going to write that. So I do 1.1 divided by 0.9, and that'll be my sum, right? Which is kind of what you'd expect. The sum's going to be a little bit more than 1 looking at it. So now we just got to type that in the calculator and get our. All right, so typing in looks like it's about 1.2 repeating. All right, so our sum here is 1.2 repeating. Okay, so I'm actually going to do question 5 in the same video because it's really similar, right? So if you're looking at this, it's the same pattern as before, so we're multiplying by a tenth, right? But it alternates negative, positive. Okay, so a couple things. One, do you think the sum's going to be more or less than the last one? Okay, and hopefully you can figure out that it probably should be less, right? Because you're subtracting some terms instead of adding them all together. All right, and then the other thing that's different is r, instead of being 1/10, is actually going to be negative 1/10. If we're alternating negative, positive, then we're multiplying by a negative value. All right, so it's the same formula as the last question, right? And that's actually the same a sub 1. So 1.1, first term is 1.1, and then you divide by 1 minus negative 1/10. Okay, so that denominator is now going to become a plus, right? We're going to add those together. So you get 1.1 divided by 1.1, and that will just be 1. So our sum on this one is 1. And again, it has a sum because it is converging, getting closer and closer to 0. Okay, hope that helps.